the most important thing is go out and get started. I know it sounds like a lot, but we've all been there. We've all done it. It'll pay dividends. So get started. There's plenty of time in the day to work 2 full-time jobs and get rid of the social activities that are not needed.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career that left that career to go down a different path. I'm your co-host, Richard Coyne.
And I'm your co-host, Bill Zahller.
On today's show, we have Danny Randazzo. Danny, we're so glad you were able to join us. Thanks for being on.
Grateful to be here, gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me. Excited to kind of jump into this topic and share a little bit of my story.
Absolutely. Great. Well, thanks for being on the Road Less Traveled show, Danny. Can you tell us a little bit about your story, what you started out in professionally and how long you were in that line of work?
Yeah. So I got started. I grew up in just your, normal everyday family. And we were taught to get good grades, go to school, and then get a good job with a 401k. And I never truly bought into that as the end all be all, but I kind of followed that path. And I got into financial consulting and really enjoyed it. Learned a tremendous amount really coming out of college, graduated with a degree in finance, and was able to travel around the world while, the company kind of footed the bill for that, and go and help these businesses improve their financial performance and really uncover how different companies function and operate their P&Ls or their income and expenses, and what they do to ultimately optimize their NOI. I'll kind of relate my terminology. Instead of being traditional finance, I'll kind of keep it related to real estate. But that's ultimately what I did. I really enjoyed it, met some awesome people, got to work with, smart, hardworking individuals. And it was just a great experience to go out and get a bunch of professional experience, but also a bunch of personal experience of, being in different cities, being in different countries, and really enjoyed it. So that's what I did, kind of the financial consulting career path. And, the company had great benefits. They had very competitive salaries and wages, as well as healthcare benefits, 401k, and even a little bit of a pension. So it was a good career path, good, kind of like a up and out type of corporate structure there as well, where either you kind of buy into the culture and work really hard and kind of work your way up the corporate ladder, or you kind of sidestep out of that consulting path and you work for a traditional employer in your area, and you stay home more and travel less. So I bought into it, and I put my best effort into anything I do. Either I do 0 of something or I do 100% of it. And so I was all in and really enjoyed it, and learned a ton. So it overall, it was a great experience, and one that a lot of people strive to do. I forget where the stat was at, but there's usually 10,000 plus applications from folks graduating from school trying to get into the consulting world, only for maybe 100 or so to get a job at the company.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah, actually, I had a very similar early stage career for me. Like the first third of my W-2 career was working for a little bit more in the IT consulting versus the financial consulting side. But again, same thing. It was great. It was, you're around young people. You get to do new experiences, new clients, travel, all kinds of stuff. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that. And then later half I shifted over to working for software companies. But Still in consulting, but yes, it's pretty cool being, able to see all kinds of, and even when I was with software companies, I was still experiencing new clients, new places, travel. It was great. Enjoyed it.
Yeah. It's, I tell a lot of people, coming out of school, if you're looking to do something where you can get professional and personal experience, it's there's not a real better option where you get to travel around. The company pays you to go and do that. They, pay for your meals and your hotels, and you get to learn a ton from a professional standpoint as well.
That's excellent.
So while it is called the road less traveled, I do want to highlight, I had to travel a ton for work. So typically gone 4 or 5 days a week. I was a million miler with one of the big airlines before I turned 30 years old. So I have spent many months, if not maybe a year of my life, literally flying in the seat of an airplane, and reached the highest status with the hotel promotional programs very, very quickly. So it is a road heavily traveled if you go down that financial consulting path, and you are away from your home more nights out of the week than you are at home.
Yeah. It's same for me. I mean, again, million miler, and I told my wife if I made certain airline status, I'd quit my job, and then I made it. I'm like, oh shoot,
but there's one more to get to.
Then they introduced the new level, so I'm like, well, I'm not the new level. I'm at this level. So yeah, exactly. Again, a lot of fun, but at the same point in time, people think it's glamorous. It's not. Again, because you're right, you're away from your family. Early in my career, I was traveling out Sunday night, coming back Friday night, and that was, right. It was tough. And, fortunately that migrated and evolved over time, where it was really typically more like a Monday morning, sometimes back Thursday night type thing. But, again, I enjoyed the work and enjoyed the people I worked with, which is why I did it. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, from that heavily traveled freeway to the road less traveled, as we transition, what did you transition into then, Danny? What path are you currently on?
Yeah. So, the road heavily traveled in that financial consulting world, I quickly realized if you wanted to have a family and, be at home to see kids grow up, spend time with your significant other, that career path, as I looked at myself as, kind of middle of the pack corporate level. And I looked at the partners in those firms, they were traveling even more than I was. And I thought I travel a lot, but they were going to 3 different cities in a week, leaving Sunday, coming home Friday night. They get home for the one day on Saturday, and then they're out the door the following day, really. And so I knew that path was not for me. And, I always had read and believed in and studied kind of the entrepreneur type mindset, Rich Dad, Poor Dad books, real estate investing books, and really loved that aspect. And I really dipped my toe into the water pretty early, because as soon as I started in the financial consulting space, I bought a house out in California. And then I figured out, hey, I'm only spending maybe 50 to 100 nights. Why don't I get a roommate in the 3rd bedroom? So I got a roommate there. And then I was like, hey, this is great. I'll get a second roommate in the extra bedroom. And now my cost of living in the Bay Area, I was paying, $500 a month to live, and banking all of my salary, collecting rent. So I knew that real estate was a great way to build wealth. And you're never going to accelerate your wealth or your income by working a W-2 job, right? You cannot exchange enough time for money to do that. And so that was always the philosophy I had. And it led me into the path of real estate, kind of to that road less traveled. And I bought into that approach to, instead of exchanging my time for money, purchasing assets that produce cash flow on a monthly basis, where I'm not having to work to earn a living. And, buying an asset that produces monthly cash flow was the vision that I had to make that transition from the, kind of corporate job into entrepreneurship and really working for myself.
That's great. Yeah.
Very nice. So, Danny, in your road warrior heavy travel financial consulting days, is there a funny story you can share along the way that made you scratch your head? Think, why are you doing this?
There's several items there. And I'll give two quick snippets. So you had talked about leaving Sunday night, getting home Friday. I got started. I was living in the Bay Area out in San Francisco. I would leave on Sunday night. I would take the red eye all the way to Atlanta. I would backtrack about an hour's plane ride to Kentucky. I would get to Kentucky at like 8 a.m. on Monday morning, right after taking the red eye. I would work all Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I would get home Thursday night in San Francisco around 7 p.m. I would go to my adult league ice hockey game, play ice hockey, and make it home at like midnight or 1 a.m. San Francisco time. And so that was a real head scratcher of really just kind of grinding hard, where you're not sleeping a ton, you're working a lot. And so that was like, do I really need to be doing this, or is there a better way? And I think that aha moment kind of came from the corporate philosophy of let's have a meeting to discuss things versus let's have a meeting to make decisions. And I eventually got pretty fed up with the meetings to discuss things, or the emails to push off decisions, and just kind of busy work to have billable hours, and to spin your wheels with activities that, again, don't revolve around making a decision. And so those types of issues, and I'm sure a ton of people in the audience can relate to, that kind of corporate philosophy, or the inability to make a decision, that it sucks up everyone's time, and time is ultimately our most precious resource. And so, I always tell people within the company, look, we need to make a decision, and we're going to learn from it, whether it's the right decision or the wrong decision. Let's make it. We move forward. And guess what? We can always change our mind in the future.
Fail fast forward.
That those types of head scratcher moments with the, road heavily traveled, the previous, employment path, that was really the tipping point that said, look, something's got to give here. This is not going to work for me.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a deciding factor. You said just kind of the bureaucracy of it and everything. And you'd gotten a taste of the real estate from renting out the other place, and how that passive income, and someday, a little bit farther in the future, it might come up with a great name for a company, some kind of passive investing.
Yeah, exactly.
As it turns out. Yeah.
I can't take credit for our company name. My partner, Dan Hanford, kind of came up with it, but we had, we'd gone round and round with different ideas. And that's the beauty of kind of getting started into real estate investing. You don't have to come up with a team from the get-go. You don't have to come up with a traditional company from the get-go. You can kind of get started, build a track record, do things on a deal by deal basis. And then once things are working and the team really gels, you can then kind of brand yourself. And so we really got started on a deal by deal basis, working together, making sure as partners, in business, we gelled really well together. And that's really how we built our company, passiveinvesting.com. We've got a great name, a good brand with it, and ultimately phenomenal people.
That's great. Yeah.
So Danny, in that path, going down the real estate in the direction, were there initially some obstacles you encountered along the way to really get it to take off?
Absolutely. The biggest thing that I think, anyone who's looking to get started into real estate, there's kind of two major hurdles. Number one, it's buying your first deal. Whether you do it all on your own or with partners or with investors, I think number one, you have to get started. You have to own a piece of real estate to understand that it's not that scary. It's not that complicated. There's a lot of great people in the industry who can help you. You are not the first person to buy a real estate investment property. You're not the first person to have tenants who have issues and can't pay rent. So no challenge that you encounter as a first-time real estate investor is a challenge that has never been seen before. And I rarely say that word never, but no challenge that will come up with your real estate investment has not been occurred and solved before. So it's not that scary. So go out and do it. The second hurdle is kind of growing your brand. So if you love your day job and kind of what you do, I'm not saying you have to quit your job like I did and become a full-time investor entrepreneur, but if you love your job and you just want to build equity, have extra cash flow to alleviate financial concerns for you and your family, buying personal investments one deal at a time or passively investing with other groups or other operators is certainly a great path for you. Alternatively, if you want to be the operator and start to put together these deals and bring investors on, the largest hurdle that you will have is branding yourself as the real estate investor. So when I was first getting started, I purchased a deal, $1 million office building. And I said, this is the proof of concept. I'm going to put my money only into it and buy this deal and prove to people that I am a real estate investor, right? Because everybody before that knew me as Danny, the financial consultant, the world traveler guy. And they didn't see me as the real estate investor. And so I had to slowly build that brand. And it's not a quick process to flip that. But if you want to be in this business as a full-time operator, that's going to be the largest hurdle as you look to bring investors into your sphere of influence. You will need to build your brand as a real estate professional and investor and an expert in the real estate industry. And that takes time. So number one, go buy your deal. And then number two, start to build your brand and your presence.
That's great. Yeah. Great advice. Yeah. Well, Danny, what was one of the your first victory you can think of as you decided to go outside of the proof of concept buying the commercial property, but when you went into the multifamily and decided I'm going to go into syndication, what was your first victory there that you knew you made the right decision? Everybody's gelling together. It's a great team and it's the way to go forward.
To me, it always comes down to getting that first deal done. So I had done a variety of, I'll just call them smaller kind of single purpose investments, if you will. And I had a wide variety of experience in real estate. I had purchased fix and flips. I had purchased short-term rentals. I bought tax foreclosures. I bought small multifamily property, commercial office buildings, looked at and almost acquired a mobile home park. But with that kind of smaller personal experience, I knew the only way to scale in the business and to really truly operate efficiently and effectively was to get into that multifamily space. And so I kind of gave up all of that and focused the energy into multifamily properties with my two partners, Dan and Brandon. And, buying that first deal is the absolute most important piece to get you started, right? Without getting deal one, you cannot do deal two. And so to me, I always look back fondly on that memory of that, initial deal. It's always the hardest capital raise you do, bringing investors into your first deal, right? It's a big, scary thing. You don't have a multifamily track record. I had my personal experience and I could kind of show and demonstrate, hey, I know how to operate real estate and how these things work. But just getting that first deal done, builds a great confidence in you as an individual person, but it also builds a confidence in your investor base. And so that really was, what set us up for great success. And again, you're going to learn as you go in this real estate business. You're going to figure out what works and what doesn't. And so, having partners that are all open-minded, and, we're in it together. We're in it to learn. By no means do we know everything. And so let's just be learning together and always evolving.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Yeah. Danny, is there a humorous story that you've encountered since you've been part of passiveinvesting.com?
It's always interesting when I think about it, and somewhat funny, just the different mindsets of individuals and team members. And so, one story that I'll always share is the difference in mindset between my partner, Brandon, and myself. I am very much the numbers guy, right? Everybody knows that. For me, seeing things on a spreadsheet is very important, in addition to, seeing things in person and how they work. But anytime that our company or, we want to invest money into a property, for me, it's always a formula, right? If we spend, $100 to upgrade some piece of technology, I want to know what my ROI is. And so we always get hung up, and it's always a hard sell when we want to do some sort of value add project and I can't quite measure the ROI. It's always a hurdle that I have to overcome, and my partners have to kind of get me on board with. But a prime example, thinking about a multifamily property, painting the exterior of a building is extremely hard to measure the ROI on. However, all of us know that having a nice looking building or property draws in new residents. So we know that there's an ROI there, but it's really hard to measure. And so it's always a balancing act of how much do you spend for painting? Because we can't measure the ROI, but I know we're going to get, more people coming in to look at it, or maybe we're going to draw a demographic that has maybe a higher household income. So those types of situations, just thinking about how individual people think and make decisions is something that I find interesting, but also it's an amusing conversation when we're making some of those decisions, and just well, guys, hang on, how do we measure the ROI here? Or we need to move forward and get this painted because it looks terrible, but we know we're going to get more people in. And so that's always a fun and interesting evolution, as it will be.
Right. It's interesting you bring that example up, because again, our very first property was a lovely harvest gold, and it was horrendous. We did not start the project with the intent to paint, but I don't know, 6 months in, whatever it was, we realized, okay, look, this thing is showing like it's 100 years old, and it's just very unattractive. And we diverted capital that was allocated for other things to paint, and it was not inconsequential. It was a $250,000 paint job. But it made a big difference. It really attracted new people, high quality of residents. It actually encouraged a number of other people that were about to bolt and leave to stay, because these were good, desirable tenants, residents. But yeah.
ultimately it kind of comes down to human behavior, right? People want to drive home to a place that they are proud of and feel safe at. And so if your building does not look good from the outside, you could have the nicest apartment interiors in the world, but people are not going to be proud to bring their friends and family home. It's their home. And so that's one of those key things that, I, as kind of a numbers ROI measurer type person, have to take more accountability with, and just, you have to have that human component. And sometimes it's not just a clean, perfect little formula that you want it to be.
Right.
Well, excellent. Well, Danny, where are you today in your journey? I mean, Richard and I have known all three of the partners there for many years, but seen phenomenal growth you guys have had over the last couple of years. Can you kind of describe where you are now in your journey?
Yeah, in our journey now, we have a couple different business units that we have within our passiveinvesting.com umbrella. So we have our traditional multifamily apartment investing business. We've got about 820 million in apartments, about 4,000 doors across the Southeast US. And we are very much focused on building that out. We have a self-storage fund where we buy self-storage facilities across the US. And we have a lending business where we lend out money to fix and flip rehabbers in the Southeast US as well. And so when we first got started, and I'm thinking back to when, the three of us kind of met for the first time, between Dan, Brandon, and myself, we were running every aspect of the business. And, one thing I'll kind of say, if you're looking to get started in this business, it's very important to know what activities have to be done. But also, if you're going to be partners with someone, you have to have the same kind of vision and goals. And so between Dan, Brandon, and myself, we're very much aligned, thinking about the 10, 20, 50-year outlook ahead versus the initial short term. And so I kind of divert on that, but our vision was always to reinvest and grow the company. And, when we first got started, it was just the three of us kind of doing everything. And as we slowly grew one deal at a time to ultimately have, about 4,000 doors across the US from the apartment perspective, nearly 100 million in self-storage facilities, lending about $6 million a month in our lending business, we grew our team. And, today we've got, nearly 30 employees and team members working across the various businesses. And so we've had a great evolution, and it really speaks to all of our critical team members who, put in their heart and soul to what they do, and kind of how we've grown this business and nurtured it. It's been just a wonderful journey and experience. And I'm gonna revert the question asking to you guys and just kind of say, how have you seen us grow, as we've been friends over the last several years?
No, it's been very impressive. Yeah, like sort of, hats off what you guys have achieved in a relatively short amount of time. Like I said, a few years from growing out to the syndication, and it only makes sense to even offer your, like I said, your investors, separate avenues with the self storage. I think it's another somewhat they're not necessarily have exact trading together. There's some diversity, I think, even in that. They can get some multifamily, some in self-storage, and then geographic diversity too. They're all concentrated in one geographic area, like the self-storage is across the US. So I think it's been impressive and very, very fun to watch you guys grow. Yeah.
Thank you.
The other thing also, Danny, we've seen you guys do again is just really again go into new markets and new cities with the apartments, and you guys are doing great, and some of these really desirable places that people want to be, and that's been hats off to you guys. You guys have done great, so we're super impressed. Yeah.
Yeah. And, the last thing I'll add to that is, really the theme of the show, the road less traveled. I think a lot of our success really stems from just having different backgrounds as partners. And so, between the three of us, it was not quite the conventional path to get to where we are today. And I think we all have that kind of drive and determination of kind of taking that road less traveled, that entrepreneurial avenue, and it really putting the success of your personal self on your own shoulders, and really working to get what you can and kind of make and create versus kind of punching the time clock.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Danny, as you are in the trajectory you guys are moving now and things like that, is there anything you guys do to give back to help others?
Absolutely. So I'll just speak to what I love to do personally. I'm a big golfer. And so we have a great first tee program here in the Charleston area. And so when I can, I will go and volunteer and help the kids learn about the game of golf and the lessons of life. So, the themes of the first tee, it's really about honesty, integrity, respect. And you learn that naturally through the game of golf. So, being quiet while other kids or other people are teeing off, it's a respect piece. And so you get hands-on learning to fundamental core values for life through the game. And it allows young people to enjoy a sport and an outdoor activity, but also learn what it takes to be a good human and a good person, and someone who, cares for their family, cares for others, helps other people, right? If someone, hits a golf ball in the wrong direction and they can't find it, right? As a good human, you go and help them, even though you might be competing against them, you help them find that ball because it's the right thing to do. And so, another reason why I think our business is successful is because we're very much who we are. What you see is what you get. If you play golf with me, I will help you find your golf ball. I am certainly there to compete hard against you. If we're playing a little match, and I'm going to have a ton of fun with it, but I'm also going to sit down and enjoy, lunch afterwards, and talk about, what we do in life, and how we can help people, and just improve our communities.
Nice.
What's something you guys have implemented recently in your business that's helped you scale and achieve your goals?
The biggest thing is we have always kind of tracked the major activities that have to be done and who is doing them. We try our best to anticipate when we need to hire critical team members to take on as activities grow. I can't say that we've hired always early, but sometimes we're a couple months behind. But, at this point in our business, the best thing that we can do is hire critical positions that we need to continue to grow. And so Monday, just a couple of days ago, we brought on 5 new team members. And again, we're heavily investing into the business, so it really runs quite on its own. And I think that's our critical piece at the moment. We use some great softwares. One of the things with Microsoft Teams, we have Outlook, we have Microsoft Teams that we really enjoy using. And that's been a big help to keep us organized, a good central file location area. And so from people and software, those are the things that, help us grow, but keep us organized.
Right.
Yeah. Important as you, as you scale up to be organized. Otherwise you're going to be in a mess. So, Danny, is there some advice you would give to somebody who's considering making a path change, a road change?
The best advice that I can give is go and get started. Whatever it is you want to do. If you want to start your own, cookie distribution business, or you want to start investing in real estate, the most important thing is go out and get started. You can keep your safety net in place. Working 40 or 60 hours a week at your day job, you have plenty of hours in a given week to work another full-time job. I know it sounds like a lot, but we've all been there. We've all done it. And making that commitment to go get started is the most important thing for you. And so, give up watching TV, give up watching or going to sporting events, entertainment events, going out to dinner, give up going to, drinks or lunch with friends, give up going to parties on the weekend, go out, get started, and build a better avenue for yourself to really control the outcome of your life. And it'll pay dividends. So, get started. There's plenty of time in the day to work 2 full-time jobs, and get rid of the social activities that are not needed, period.
Well, excellent, Danny. What's 2 things, I guess. One, what's the best way for listeners to get a hold of you? And then also in conjunction with that, I believe you guys have an event, the Multifamily Investor Nation Summit, coming up next week. If you can tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yeah. So the best way to get a hold of me or to know kind of what we have going on within our business, go to passiveinvesting.com. Join our Passive Investor Club if you're interested in investing with us. But, everything we do, the deals we have, the different opportunities we have, it's all on our website. So check us out there. One of the other things that we kind of give back to collectively is the real estate community. So we have a large group across the world, the Multifamily Investor Nation, and we give away everything for free. You don't need to pay for education in today's day and age. And so anything that you want to learn about how to raise money, how to take advantage of tax depreciation, we interview experts or we share what we know through our group, the Multifamily Investor Nation. So check us out there. We do an event twice a year. It's a completely virtual summit. We started doing virtual summits really before anyone else did. So hats off to Dan for coming up with that great idea many years ago. And we have the Multifamily Investor Nation Summit. Tickets are extremely affordable, and you have access to well over 50 speakers to talk about any critical topic. So, people will always get their money's worth when you go and do that. And what I say is, if you're someone who wants to only invest in self-storage or only invest in multifamily, you can go and just listen to those speakers and really enjoy it. So that's coming up. I think it's January 20th, 21st, and 22nd, completely virtual. It's a great place to learn. We handpick all of the speakers who come, and everyone is there to share everything they know, and they're experts in their space. And so, it's a great place to learn about raising capital. It's a great place to learn about tax advantages of real estate. Just a tremendous amount of content. And again, we just try to give it away for everyone to build a better future for themselves and their family.
That's great. Yeah, we'll put links to both those in the show notes below. And like I said, this should air on that Tuesday, so a couple days before the summit. So hopefully people can use the link and join up.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, Danny, we really want to thank you for taking the time to be on the Road Less Traveled show. Really enjoyed the conversation, and wish you guys continued success.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Absolutely.
Danny, again, thanks for being here. We really appreciate you tuning in. And we also want to thank our listeners for tuning in to the Road Less Traveled show. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like Danny Randazzo being on today. We'd also like to thank Park Capital Partners, which sponsors this show. And please remember, folks, we have the Park Capital Value Add Fund that's out and available. It's a 506c fund. And we also want to point out and thank the Park Capital Partners Foundation. That is a 506 3C nonprofit that Bill and I have created to give back. And please certainly join us there as well. I'd like to thank Danny for being on again. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.